I got you.
All right, creatures of the night. My name is Alex Dorio. Thank you for joining us here on the Talking Taker YouTube channel for yet another round of Digging Up the Dead Man, this supplemental series to the Talking Taker podcast where I am going through adding figures to either the Rogues Gallery of all the different Undertaker opponents he faced in his pay-per-view career, or to the Undertaker shelf itself. And I am a bit dejected and frustrated here on this episode of Digging Up the Dead Man for a couple of reasons. Why would I be disappointed or upset? I've got a brand new Undertaker figure to unbox. Well, number one, in full disclosure, I already recorded a 20-minute version of this video, but I forgot to turn my microphone on, so it's a completely silent video. So, full disclosure, this Undertaker figure has already been unboxed and opened and played with and reviewed, but I put it back in the box the best that I could. We are going to pretend that this is the original unboxing here. But number two, the main reason why is because I've got a figure here that I'm being a hypocrite about, that I am going back on my word on, that I said I would never purchase. I said it on the Talking Taker podcast. I said it on the Collecting Dead Man podcast, which you should absolutely go check out if you are a figure collector and an Undertaker fan. I said it on the Fig Life podcast that I was a special guest on a few weeks ago, doing the top 5 Undertaker figures of all time with Phil Gentile. Thank you for having me on, Phil. I said I would not buy this figure, and yet here I am with it that I just purchased this afternoon at Target, and here I am doing an unboxing on it. So I am going to review it. I'm going to tell you why I said I would not buy this figure, why I changed my mind, and we're going to see if it is better than I was expecting it to be. First of all, why did I not want to buy this figure? Why would an Undertaker fan, a host of an Undertaker podcast, not want to buy the Ultimate Undertaker figure? This is his first Ultimate Edition figure. It's a special figure. It's an important figure. Why would I not want to buy this? Well, the Ultimate Editions started by Mattel a couple years ago. Really the third type of main figure in their line. You've got the basics, which are $10, exactly what they say they are, basic, simple figures, less deco and design, less articulation, really starter figures, really priced for kids who are playing with them. The elite figures are sort of an in-between. They're $20 and a lot more playability, a lot more articulation, and much better figures. These are the ones that most collectors are going to be purchasing over the basics. And then we've got the Ultimate Edition figures. These are price point at $29.99, really targeted more towards adult collectors. They only put out 2 of these per line, per series, and they have got incredible deco hits and design on there, even more points of articulation, which is pretty cool that we'll get into, and I'll show you here. Multiple heads, multiple hands, which are in there that you can't see in the packaging, and then things like these really intricate robes and designs, which I think is really get that reflection out of there, really the main selling point, especially of this particular Ultimate Edition figure. Of course, it's depicting Undertaker primarily at WrestleMania 14 in that match against Kane, who was also the other figure in this Ultimate Edition line. You see here on the back, there's the match that it is depicting. Supposed to be depicting this entrance here with this robe and the torches that Undertaker goes through. Really his first really awesome WrestleMania entrance. He had WrestleMania 9 where he came out with the vulture and the cart that he was pulled at WrestleMania 9, which is pretty cool. But this one was really after that, the first one. They really took those WrestleMania entrances to the next level that he would become known for and become one of his signatures throughout his WrestleMania streak and career. So that's what this figure is. Why did I not want to buy it? Well, the main thing is you're paying $30 for an Ultimate figure, $40 if you're ordering it from an online retailer, and including shipping and all that sort of stuff. And while a lot of the Ultimate figures have been awesome and have included some really great features on there. As soon as I saw this Ultimate Edition Undertaker, as soon as I saw the first renderings and graphics of it online, I immediately was disappointed and frustrated by it, because while the main head on there, and I'll open it up and show everything to you, the main head is great and it works perfect with that robe and that jacket. These two other heads, if you look closely, I believe they represent Undertaker best case scenario 2010, but really, especially this top head, that looks like a modern day Undertaker head to me. And why are you putting a modern day Undertaker head with a retro 1998 Undertaker figure? It's insulting to me as a collector to ask me to spend extra money on an Ultimate Edition of a figure for a head that really is not even usable with this figure. You cannot in good conscience put a modern day Undertaker era head on this figure. It wouldn't make any sense. He never wore this type of outfit when he had this type of head on there. So how dare you, Mattel, ask me to spend a premium price when you're not giving me a premium product? So I swore up and down, I'm not going to do it. It's insulting to me to ask for that. And here I am going back on my word. I was walking in Target today, and I guess I just had money burning a hole in my pocket. I kind of just wanted to buy something today on a little fig hunt, and I was going through my head what could possibly be there, what might I want to buy. I was just itchy to buy something. I was kind of hoping the new Legends Jake the Snake would be there, even though I don't really need that one either. I've already got a Jake the Snake, WrestleMania 8 Undertaker opponent there, the Hasbro, the classic from my childhood there. But the new one is pretty cool, and if that was there, I probably would have purchased that. But I saw this bad boy along with the cane, also at Target. They had about 4 of both of them there on the shelf, which I've rarely seen Ultimates. I think I've seen the Rock Ultimate in stores. I don't think I've ever seen another Ultimate in stores on the shelf. So I saw this guy, and I just had FOMO. You know, I was afraid that I might want it in the future. And the way that Mattel figures have been, they jump in value. Every couple years, once these figures go off the shelves, once they become harder to find by collectors, they pretty consistently, even the basics, will jump up in value. And the Ultimates really have jumped in value because of their high quality, because of their collectability, and the older ones are more rare. They made less of, so this one probably won't jump as much in value as the first couple series, but I guarantee you 2 years from now this figure will be at least 60, 70, maybe even $100 to find one of these figures. And so I talked myself into it. I said, you know what, the main figure with the cloak is pretty outstanding and will look great on the Undertaker shelf. It represents an iconic moment, an iconic match, an iconic look for the Undertaker. And what if I really decide that I want this a couple years down the line to add to the collection? I will be kicking myself when they were prevalent on the shelf for not purchasing one. I do it all the time, actually, looking back at figures, just wishing I would have purchased one. In fact, I might go back and purchase one just as an investment, just to have in case these do start shooting up in value. But I looked at it, I walked around the store for a few minutes saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm going to do this after I said I wasn't going to do it. But at least it'll give me some content here for the Talking Taker YouTube channel. So I'm going to look at it. I'm going to see if it holds up, see if the faces are as bad as I think they are. And they look pretty rough in the packaging, but we'll look at it. Like I said, full disclosure, I've already done this. I've already filmed this review, this video, but my sound wasn't working, so we're going to pretend this is like new. But there you see the Ultimate packaging. I already showed you the back, and it's got his weight, or his height, where he's from, Death Valley, finisher of the Tombstone, career highlight, WWE Champion. It says on there, a superstar who defined WWE for exactly 3 decades. That's correct. Undertaker spent his career taking souls and digging holes. The dead man commanded respect and fear, using mystical mind games before he destroyed his victims. After all, anyone going toe-to-toe with the Phenom would soon rest in peace. So let's crack this bad boy open. Undertaker Ultimate Edition figure. I can't tell you what series it is. I have not kept up with all the numbers, so I don't remember which series Ultimate Edition this is. But did have quite a bit of tape around the sides, so actually this video should be a little bit shorter because it took me a while to get through all that tape. But just pretend you had 2 minutes of me cracking the tape open on this bad boy. I thought this was neat though. Once you do open the package, it's got says you can't hide from the dead man there on the bottom, and then it says rest in peace right there up on the top. So that's a little extra touch on there, and then Undertaker's profile if you're gonna display it or have it that way. But believe I checked the sound, so it's recording now, so I'm gonna throw that box away. Here it is, the Undertaker, the Ultimate Edition figure here. And like I said, like our friend Collecting Dead Man says, no taker left behind. So, doing my duty, celebrating the new Hall of Famer by purchasing him today. And I mean, the first thing you notice when you open this guy up is the articulation and the flexibility on there. There are so many joints. Got those double jointed elbows on there, so you can move him around. You can move his hands around on the wrist, move his shoulder all around on there. Of course, pivot on the waist, the top of the leg as well. You could turn him backwards, turn him any which way but loose on here. This is really neat. You can see it, the foot, actually the toe even flexes and has a joint on there, which is pretty rad. The knees got double jointed knees on there. I mean, this is the figure I dreamed of having as a kid. I've said on the show and on this YouTube channel before, playing with wrestling figures as a kid, I was always disappointed because they had so few points of articulation in the Hasbros. The Jacks finally were a good bit better, but then, you know, the Titantron figures actually were worse than the Bone Crunchers. It went backwards as far as points of articulation, and it always frustrated me because when you got a wrestling figure, you want to be able to have their arms and their legs move and their heads and their waist every which way you can, so that you can do the moves, so that you can do power bombs and pile drivers, body slams and flying elbow drops. And the Hasbro figures just didn't give you that option. So I didn't have a lot of Hasbro figures. I had the ring, and I used Ninja Turtles and X-Men and Batman and Power Rangers as my wrestlers in my storylines. But man, if you'd have had this growing up, no question. I mean, this is, as far as articulation, this is ultimate. Do something I didn't do on the last video here. Pull up, let's do a little comparison here. Tangled up a little bit, but let's get, so of course, got the Hasbro Undertaker. How many points of articulation? Well, the waist spins, but you can't really turn it too much. And then the elbow joint. So, and the head twist a little bit, but not so much on this one. That's all. That's it. That's all the points of articulation you've got there. I've got the Bone Cruncher back there. I didn't grab it, but you know, the arms move, the legs move. You can do a little bit on there. So obviously we've jumped up quite a bit with the Mattels, but let's see here. Get him standing. Should be able to. It's on a bit of an uneven surface, but he's gonna fall over. Uh-oh. There we go. Much better. This is a basic Mattel. This is in the sort of Extreme Rules. This is the Gary wore Extreme Rules and that Super Showdown sort of thing. You know, you've got the arms. They move up and down. They move out a little bit. And then bendable at the elbow there. And then these really tight joints in the knees. And the ankles bend a little bit. That's all you're getting out of a basic figure. You got an Ultimate here. You've got more double jointed knees. It's the Boneyard Taker. More flexibility in the arms and the head. And Still not really in the chest, though. I mean, this one just blows it out of the water as far as that. Playability as a kid, posability as an adult figure collector. I mean, you can make your wildest dreams come true with how you want to pose your Undertaker. I especially love it if you're going to do the Shakespeare pose. I mean, you cannot do it any better than you can with this Ultimate figure. And once we get into some of the extra hands in there, I mean, you almost are obligated to pose it like that if you are not going to use the cloak or the other hands. But oh my gosh, hand goes flying, and that's the one I want. So another thing you're going to miss from that first video is I really struggled popping the hands and the head off of this guy. I was just a little bit scared at first. Like I said, I've never had an Ultimate figure, never had one where you popped the head off of there, so I was a little bit scared by the pressure I had to put on there to pop that head out, but not too bad, actually. And I feel pretty comfortable with it now as I struggle to put these interchangeable hands in there, and I think these are the hands I'm going to go with. It's got a couple of C-grip hands that you can use, but this one, I mean, again, for an Ultimate figure, this is what you're looking for here. You've got open hand, signal the choke slam. You can use it for the choke slam. That's pretty much essential for an Undertaker figure. But this one, get him giving the thumbs up. A little Orange Cassidy right there. Not really. Of course, he is really doing... All right, he's doing the throat slash the rest in peace movement. Oh, man, come on. That is one of the coolest things you could ever have on an Undertaker figure. One of the coolest features they've ever added on there. Didn't talk about the detailing. I mean, you've got the tattoos, you got the elbow pad, all the little buckles and X's and straps on there that he had during that match. Pretty perfectly done. This little top half of his shirt is rubbery, so got a little bit more movement and flexibility on there. And this head, man, this head is perfect with the hair down and the face, slightly younger looking face, which is what we're going to talk about here. And then it is short in the back, so this is primarily because this is the one you're going to use with this, which is the other major selling point for this figure, this Lord of Darkness robe that he wore at WrestleMania 8. You know, one thing Undertaker I don't think he gets credit for is how much he changed his look. I mean, obviously it was always black, and I think that's why people just kind of don't think about all the details and attention to detail and effort he put into his different looks and his different attires, but he really didn't wear the same outfits. I mean, he definitely wore them more than once, but, you know, past 96, he changed up his look a lot. Anytime he had a major match, anytime he had a big pay-per-view match, he would have a different kind of robe, or he would have some different details on his pants. He would change up the color of that logo on the side of his pants, or he would have, sometimes it'd be an urn, sometimes it'd be like a demon head, sometimes it'd be the XT symbol. It was always different things, and I don't think people give him credit enough for how much attention to detail he paid. But my goodness, again, this is what you're paying the premium for. I mean, this is the nicest, coolest cloak or jacket. I won't say ever, because there's those entrance greats. There are a couple of other Undertaker figures with some awesome jackets, but this is the first time they've really tried this WrestleMania 14 attire, and they nail it, man. Rubbery here on this portion, and then it's got some splits and seams in there, so you can, you know, have it open up in the back. Just a great look anyway for Undertaker here. Gold, silver, all of that, and the soft fabric part of the cape. I mean, this is what you're posing this figure as. This is the look, this is the head, There's really no other options, unfortunately. And that's my nitpick with this figure is Ultimates are supposed to give you options. They're supposed to give you choices. They're supposed to give you different ways to do it. And there's really only one here. But this one is awesome, which is why I had to get it and put it on the shelf. Because 10, 15 years from now, when you're looking at this shelf, you're not going to be thinking about the disappointment of it. Let's pop these other heads on. And again, you can't really wear these heads with the Robe, which is, again, a bummer. And wasted space. Just don't even bother with these heads. Give me something else. I mentioned in the other video, I didn't grab the box, but, Undertaker made this entrance with this Robe with all those flaming torches there carried by the Druids. Give us some little torches. You could display it with some little fake torches that you could put next to it. Or give us a Druid. Never really had a Druid figure. Give us a generic Druid figure. Man, that'd be sweet. All right, let's do the tongue out head. I like this one at least a little bit more. You can almost get away with this one being a younger Undertaker figure, but you can just tell that is an older, more modern Undertaker scan, man. It just doesn't work. And, yep. There we go. Still not used to popping the heads off. Still scares me a little bit. Not used to doing that with my toys. Now, I do think this head, if this were the worst head, it would be a lot more passable. Because it's still not great. It's still not totally accurate. But it almost is looking like a Ministry of Darkness Undertaker with the tongue out, with the eyes rolled back. And the goatee on there, it's faint enough that it could look like sort of the Amish Devil Undertaker, as our buddy Randy Turco calls that era. And he did wear this outfit at the beginning of Ministry of Darkness with the hair slicked back. And it was tied up in the back, which is not here. But you could, on display, you could sort of call this a, like, Buried Alive 98 Undertaker. And it almost works. But it doesn't. Quite. But if that was the worst head, I'd give it a slide. Give it a pass. Wouldn't be such an issue I'd have with this figure. The problem is this guy. And let's do a comparison since I've got these other ones out here now, which I didn't do before. There you go. Now tell me that's not Survivor Series 2020 or Extreme Rules 2019 Undertaker. You can't. That is a modern day Undertaker scan. It's not exactly. I do think it's the same scan as this Undertaker here. That's supposed to represent Extreme Rules 2019. There they are, side by side, and only difference is they've got the sideburns painted on here, and they're more faded here. But man, that is not great. Not great for a 1998 figure to have that head on there compared to this one. And this is a much younger, 20 years younger Undertaker than this guy right here. So, yeah, these heads will never go back on this figure. I want to just throw them in the trash. But, again, FOMO. Maybe you could put them on a different Undertaker figure. Maybe you could pop them on there. Maybe you could do something else with them. I don't know. I will put them behind this figure on the shelf so I don't lose them, but they will never be displayed. This one is pretty much straight up gonna be like this in the jacket. Again, you could do some cool things with it with the old Shakespeare one knee pose. Love that aspect of it, but for now it's gonna be like this. So I give this one, an 8 out of 10 because this is pretty perfect. The main figure with the jacket. If I can get it back on there without breaking it. But yeah, those other two heads drag it down. And that's my main complaint with it. You're asking me to pay a premium price, and you're not giving me enough value, bang for my buck on there. So, yeah, imagine being a kid trying to. Well, they'd probably be better at it than me. There we go. There he is. Lord of Darkness, WrestleMania 14. Let me know in the comments. Let me know what you thought about this figure. Let me know your opinions on it. Did you get it? Or did the heads on there bother you as much as they do me? Am I just being a nitpicker? Did I do the right thing, even though I went back on my word? My wife would tell me no, and our bank account would tell me no, but I did it anyway. I'm sure Mattel will rectify this. I'm sure they will make a better version of this figure. Sorry, I'm trying to buckle the jacket on here. It is tricky. There we go. I think I got it now. Yeah. What would you like to see for another Ultimate? I think they will for sure make them. I mean, that's what the Ultimates are for. They're really for top guys like Undertaker, iconic guys, main eventers, guys with that, extra toyeticness where you can do these robes and intricate details on there. I mean, they've done every version and incarnation of Undertaker you could possibly do at this point. I think my dream Ultimate, and I said this on the Fig Cave podcast, which I don't think would ever happen, but this would be the best way to do another Ultimate Undertaker, in my opinion. Give me a 94 era Undertaker with gray gloves and the gray stirrups or stockings, whatever he has on his feet there, but interchangeable purple gloves and purple stockings that you could switch that out with a trench coat, with a gray tie and a purple tie you could put on there. And then as far as heads go, give me an alternate Underfaker. SummerSlam 94, Brian Lee as the fake Undertaker, Ted DiBiase's Undertaker. Give me an interchangeable head that I could put on there to go along with that. And you don't even have to have the rights to Brian Lee. You could just put his hair all the way covering the face on there, which is how they tried to hide that, make the beard a little bit off or something like that. And we would know that's what it's supposed to be, but you don't have to call it that. You don't have to pay Brian Lee's estate that sort of money if you don't want to. But that, to me, that would be an ultimate Undertaker figure that I would love to see. But what about you? What other sort of ideas for an ultimate Undertaker figure do you have? Let me know in the comments. Be sure to subscribe. Be doing some more unboxings and some more additions to the collection and other fun stuff here on the YouTube channel. Plus, we get the video version of our podcast. We've talked about Ministry of Darkness. We got a Ministry of Darkness fantasy draft with friend of the show, Randy Turco, trying to come up with our dream Ministry of Darkness factions, picking wrestlers from any era, any genre. Very, very fun video and audio. You can listen to our podcast about this match that this figure represents from WrestleMania 14 in our archives, wherever you listen to podcasts. Also the video version here on the YouTube channel. And then coming up, we are going to be doing a special Undertaker Hall of Fame episode. Going to drop the day he gets inducted in the Hall of Fame. Hashtag Thank You Taker. We are asking for you, the fans and the listeners, to submit a 3 to 4 minute video saying thank you Taker, saying why you love the Undertaker, why you are such a big fan of his, what are your favorite memories, what are your Hall of Fame moments in his career, and we're going to splice those together for a special April episode. So you can submit those to us in our direct messages. You can email talkingtaker@gmail.com. It's real simple. Email the audio or video file over to us and we will use it. And we got more instructions for you on our social media at Talking Taker, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So check all those out. Let me know what you think of this figure as well. And as always, Taker easy.